Now to India, where there's growing anger and frustration in the state of Bihar over a drive by election officials to verify the identities of 80 million voters in just a few weeks. Authorities say the move is necessary to ensure that only those eligible to vote can do so in October's state elections. Critics warn, though, the overhaul could be used to strike off voters who don't support the ruling party, leading to mass disenfranchisement. More than 6 million people have already been removed from the voter list. From the state of Bihar, this report from our special correspondent Nimisha Jaiswal.
For weeks now, Abhay Paswan has been spending his days on the road, looking for voters. He and his wife Hira have less than a month to verify each of the 991 voters in their sub-district. Armed with the list from the Election Commission, they're going door to door, helping residents fill out their verification forms.
We're taking these forms to the voters, meeting them personally and explaining the verification drive to each of them. We reassure people that their names will not be struck off the voter lists. We tell them if you're present here and we've collected your form in person, we'll be sure to submit it.
100,000 other officers like Paswan are carrying out this intensive verification drive across the state of Bihar. The Election Commission says it will help confirm who is a legitimate citizen and voter. They hope to delete people who have died, moved away, registered more than once, or are foreign nationals. But legitimate voters are also worried about being left behind. Rekha Devi is keeping her documents ready. She has been voting here for decades, but her name is missing from the voter verification list. Her son is of voting age too, but hasn't been registered. And Rekha's husband's name is missing too. He's one of 10 million migrant workers from the state, so he's not there to help.
I'm very worried about our names being struck off the voter list. We're just laborers. What will we do? If our names are deleted, then maybe we'll lose our ration cards or other state benefits. How will we fix it?
The names of many of her neighbors are missing too. They worry they can fall through the cracks. This is a massive exercise. 80 million voters need to be verified, especially the 30 million who've been added to the roll since the last revision 2 decades ago. And Bihar may well turn out to be a test case, as the Election Commission has said they would like to implement a similar revision across the country. This is why social worker Rajiv Kumar has helped challenge the voter roll revision in the Supreme Court. Bihar is one of India's poorest, least literate states. Kumar worries that in this context, rushing the verification process will hurt voters who do not have the required documents.
3% of people have passports, 15% have school graduation certificates, only 35% have land ownership records, and 40% of women haven't been to school. Where are they supposed to get documents from?
Many voters in this district say the verification has been quick and easy for them. But Kumar says the process is not uniform across the state and that the speed could be a sign of neglect, not efficiency. In a neighboring village, minority Muslim voters say they feel targeted by the revision. The documents they do have are not being accepted as proof of residence. And those documents that are accepted are impossible to source.
They say the birth certificate is the most important. They didn't even issue birth certificates back then. Where do we get it from?
This is nonsense. They are rejecting the ID documents they normally accept. This is wrong.
It's not the Election Commission's job to ask if we are citizens here. People are confused, and I'm sure many names are going to be struck off the voter list.
All hopes here now lie with the Supreme Court. It can extend the revision to give people more time and also make more documents acceptable. That may help allay fears here of widespread disenfranchisement ahead of October's poll.
Well, Yogendra Yadav is a political scientist, election researcher and president of the Swaraj India political party. Since this isn't the first time one of India's voting lists has been revised, I asked him why this one in Bihar was attracting such controversy.
Because what is happening in the name of revision is actually not a revision. The Election Commission of India, which is supposed to be an autonomous body, has announced what amounts to a fundamental tectonic shift in the very design of universal adult franchise, which threatens to disenfranchise millions of persons in the one state of Bihar, which happens to be on the border of Nepal and on the eastern side of India. In India, for the last 75 years, in order to ensure that every person actually gets to vote, there were two things that were done, both of which are now being overturned. Number one, the voters were not required to register themselves. The onus of registration of voters was on the state. This exercise overturns it and says you have to fill a form by a certain date, otherwise you are out. Number two, in a country where there's very low penetration of document and no single document of citizenship, the electoral laws were based on a presumption of citizenship. I presume that you are a citizen unless there was an evidence against you. This exercise overturns that again and requires every person in the state of Bihar to begin with, and then in the rest of the country, to provide documentary evidence that they are citizens of India. And by our estimate, at least 50% of people in Bihar, a little less in the rest of the country, do not simply have those documents which are being demanded of them.
And is it your belief that this is a bureaucratic exercise, as the Electoral Commission would have it, or do you believe that there is a political motive behind this?
I said right in the beginning that it's either dumb or diabolic. Either people sitting in bureaucratic places in Delhi do not know what the situation in Bihar is, which is going through monsoon, which has one of the worst floods in the world at this time, or there is a design. And I increasingly suspect that Election Commission of India, which used to be an independent authority, which actually was a model for the rest of the world, is increasingly not so independent. And the suspicion is that the people who may be disenfranchised as a result of this exercise, namely the very poor, the less educated, the migrants, those who happen to be less of voters for the ruling party. So the fear and the apprehension is that Election Commission is carrying out this exercise, which would result in reduction, a serious reduction in the number of votes that the opposition can get. And in a situation where the playing ground is not level at all, it would make it even more uneven in favor of the ruling dispensation.
OK, but to be clear, you have no proof of this. This is just the way it looks from the way it's going to you.
Absolutely, that's a very fair thing, because obviously Election Commission of India does not put it on paper to say we are doing it in order to benefit party X, Y, and Z. We still have those minimum protocols left in the country. So indeed, there is no proof of collusion between the ruling party and the Election Commission of India. But there is a strange synchrony between what they do and what they desire, what the ruling party needs, and what the Election Commission of India orders. I say this with deep regret and shame, because all over the world, I have upheld the Election Commission of India as a model for most of the global South, and actually for much of the global North as well.
As far as you can tell, is Bihar an exception where this is happening, or do you suspect that this is going to be rolled out across India?
The Election Commission of India, in its order, clearly says that this will be rolled out in the rest of the country. While all this controversy is going on, the Election Commission of India has already given instructions for its being rolled out in the rest of the country. Bihar is exception in one sense, that the number of undocumented persons could be one of the highest in the country in Bihar. And that's why the question, why would you unroll it first in that state? And it's also an exception in that the state of Bihar is going to have its provincial state assembly elections only in 3 months. Why would you do it there? So in that sense, Bihar is an exception, but it is going to be rolled out in the rest of the country. And if it is rolled out as per the instructions given by Election Commission of India, tens of millions of voters will be disenfranchised. There is absolutely no doubt about it. This is an assault on the basic constitutional premise of universal adult franchise. The universality of it is being taken away, and hence our protest.
Thank you for talking us through that so clearly. Political scientist Yogendra Yadav, thank you.